One morning, obstetrician Rebecca's phone rang with an emergency call. The voice on the other end urged her to come quickly for a delivery. But this time, the one giving birth wasn't a woman. It was a gorilla. Rebecca froze. She had never delivered an animal before, let alone a gorilla. Unsure of what to do, she paused, took a deep breath, pushed her fears aside, and headed out. When she arrived at the sanctuary, the air was heavy with silence. Rebecca stepped toward the gorilla, who was staring right into her eyes. And in that very moment, something happened that left everyone in the room utterly speechless. Western lowland gorillas live in the dense forests and swamps of Central Africa. Tragically, over the last 25 years, their population has declined by 60%, and they are now critically endangered. So when the staff at the Smithsonian National Zoo discovered that their gorilla family would soon welcome a new member, they were overjoyed. And the star of this moment was a 15-year-old female gorilla named Kalea. Kalea was born at the zoo and had grown up without a biological family. Over time, however, the staff became her surrogate parents. Unlike other gorillas, Kalea was exceptionally sociable and loved human interaction. This made her a favorite among the staff, who loved spending time with her. Everyone believed she would one day be a wonderful mother and eagerly awaited the day she would give birth. But the wait took longer than expected. Most female gorillas give birth around the age of 10, but Kalea's path was different. By the time she turned 14, the staff began to worry she might never have a baby. But the following year, they noticed strange and striking changes in her behavior. Because gorillas have large abdomens, it can be hard to tell when they're pregnant. But just like humans, they show subtle signs: morning sickness, digestive issues, and a lack of appetite. Kalea began showing all of these. The first to notice was her caretaker, Meredith Bastian, who quickly shared her observations with the rest of the team. At first, they gave Kalea a standard human pregnancy test, but it came back negative. Trusting her instincts, Meredith requested a retest 2 weeks later. This time, the entire team watched anxiously. Meredith closed her eyes and picked up the test stick. They counted down. 3. At that moment, Meredith opened her eyes and looked. 2 thick lines. She shouted with joy, "Positive! Kalea is pregnant!" The team was ecstatic, but they also knew a long preparation process lay ahead. This was Kalea's first pregnancy, and they had to prepare her for birth and breastfeeding. Fortunately, Kalea was a fast learner. The staff taught her to urinate on command for hormone analysis and how to move her breasts for nutritional assessments. She also took part in regular ultrasounds to monitor the baby's growth. All signs pointed to a strong mother-infant bond in the making. As the pregnancy progressed, the team closely monitored Kalea and her developing baby. Gorillas can sometimes act aggressively after giving birth, so the staff began to train Kalea for possible post-birth interventions. If the baby was born with health issues, timely action could save its life. A gorilla's pregnancy lasts about 8 months. When Kalea entered her 7th month, the team's excitement grew. They were counting down the days to meet the new baby. That month, they even gave the unborn baby a name, Mak, which means the little one in Lingala, an African language. To help prepare Kalea for motherhood, they gave her soft toys to cuddle. They also showed her videos of other female gorillas caring for their young. One evening, Kalea finally went into labor. Gorilla births typically last 6 to 12 hours. So even as time passed, the team remained calm. But after 11 hours, tension began to rise. Staff waited just meters away, never taking their eyes off Kalea. One person recorded every second on camera. After 13 hours, the moment arrived. Kalea gave birth to a healthy baby boy. She immediately stood up, gently picked him up, and placed loving kisses on his face. Their bond was formed in that instant. The team burst into tears of pure joy. They had just witnessed a 15-year-old gorilla become a mother for the first time. Words couldn't express their happiness. Everyone welcomed the new family member with applause and celebration. Even after the birth, the staff continued to care for both Kalea and Mak with great devotion. And to this day, their bond remains strong, loving, and unshakable. Kalea giving birth on her own was nothing short of a miracle. But unfortunately, not every gorilla is so lucky. In some cases, surgery is the only option, just like the incident that took place at the Philadelphia Zoo in 2016, when a female gorilla named Kira became pregnant. The entire team eagerly awaited the birth. Until then, the zoo had been quite successful with natural and safe deliveries. But this time, things went differently. Unlike humans, gorillas don't show intense pain during labor. They can walk around, nibble on food, or even explore their surroundings. They act so calmly that only a trained, watchful eye would notice labor has started. That's why gorilla births are rarely observed and almost never recorded. Thankfully, the Philadelphia staff noticed early signs that something was wrong. During her contractions, Kira stretched her arms over her head and squatted frequently. She began labor in the evening, and by midnight nothing had changed. Assuming the birth would happen by morning, the staff rested briefly. But when they returned at dawn, everything looked the same. Kira hadn't delivered. She looked exhausted, weak, and unwell. They offered her food, but she didn't eat a thing, and it was clear Kira couldn't give birth on her own. They needed an obstetrician. A nearby hospital was called, and the phone was answered by none other than Rebecca. "Hello, we're prepping for a C-section and anesthesia is ready," said the voice on the line. Rebecca was confused. "I'm not on call for deliveries today, and I don't have a scheduled C-section," she replied. She asked who was calling, and the staff member answered plainly, "A gorilla can't give birth." Rebecca froze. She had never treated a non-human patient before, and her first one would be a gorilla. It was something she never imagined. But she didn't hesitate. She let go of her fear. Someone needed her help. She dropped everything, got in her car, and drove straight to the zoo. The drive took about 20 minutes. When she arrived, the team had already placed Kira on a stretcher and moved her out of her enclosure into a large vehicle. She was taken to a nearby building where Rebecca performed an ultrasound. The baby's heartbeat was strong, but its position was wrong. The baby's head was down, but gorillas usually give birth with the baby facing the mother's front. Kira's baby was in a breech position. That's why the birth had been so difficult. The team was unsure of how to proceed. They didn't want to do a C-section unless absolutely necessary because of the long recovery, but they trusted Rebecca to make the right call. Rebecca first cleaned Kira, emptied her bladder, and calmed her. Then, to widen the birth canal, she made a small incision in the perineal area. The room fell silent. All eyes were on Kira. Every breath was held. Rebecca took a deep breath herself, then carefully delivered the baby. "The baby's here," she exclaimed. The room erupted in celebration. Applause filled the space. The newborn was a healthy male, weighing 2.26 kilograms. That night, the staff waited for Kira to wake up from the anesthesia. The next morning, they brought the baby to her. The moment she saw him, she recognized him instantly, and their bond was immediate. To this day, they are still inseparable. Reflecting on the experience, Rebecca later said, "At the time, I was just doing my job. But afterward, I thought, wow, I delivered a gorilla." And what made this story even more extraordinary was that Rebecca herself was 28 weeks pregnant at the time.